Hey VC, Jack here. Welcome to Vinyl Martini. Another episode where we just start shaking it up like we always do. But before I start, I want to give a shout out to a friend and fellow member of the vinyl community, Doug Anderson. I'm sure that if you are watching me, you probably have subbed Doug up already. Doug has just uploaded his 100th show today, and it was a good one. He's only got 176 subscribers, and I can't believe that. He should have like double or triple that amount. So if you haven't subbed him up, or if you haven't watched his channel, go. I'm going to leave a link down below in the description. Please do so, because he's got a good channel and he's really funny, droll kind of guy from the Midwest. Now, I got a call, or I should say I got a text from a friend of mine saying that her next door neighbor, was downsizing. They're moving up island and they have a bunch of records, and you want to know, do you want to go over and have a look at them and maybe make an offer for them? So did message, worked out a time to go and see her, and she had I'd say about 250 records, and I bought some, which I am going to show in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to do a thread for my buddy Steve from All the World's a Stage. He has started this thread, his first thread, and it's 5 bands that you would not have in your collection. So, yeah, self-explanatory. So I was kind of hesitating to do this because I don't like to hurt anybody's feelings. I mean, you like what you like. So please take this in the spirit that's intended. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Steve, I'll probably lose half of my subscribers over this, so thanks a lot, buddy. Okay, let's start out in no particular order. Kiss. Number 2, Foreigner. Number 3, Van Halen. Number 4, Whitesnake. And number 5, Styx. So there you have it. Five bands that if I ran across them, and I would just leave them behind. They're not coming home with me under any circumstances. That's just me. A lot of that stuff you can listen to. I'm really familiar with their music. You can listen to that stuff on classic radio any day of the week. So back to the records I got for cheap. I end up paying. Okay, in full transparency, the woman, before I started looking at the records, I asked the woman how much she wanted for the records, because if she wanted, $10 or $20 for each record, because some people think records are very, very valuable, that would be helpful information to have. But she said, oh, I don't know, 50 cents a piece. So I said, okay, now you're talking. So I ended up going through her collection. I pulled out about 100 records, but there are some bangers in here. And I just, this woman just doesn't know the value of these records. So I couldn't do it. So I actually offered her $2 a record. So I bought 100 records for $200. And she was really thrilled with that. And I thought that was a fair price. I don't like to take advantage of people. So anyways, that's the story behind them. So these are all $2 records. So let's get started. It's already almost 4 minutes here. Black Uhuru. It's called Tear It Up. It's a live album. It's a 1984 record, a 1982 record. Robbie Shakespeare on bass guitar, Sly Dunbar on drums, like 2 of the most famous rhythm sections ever. They've played behind everybody. So I've only got 1 Black Uhuru record. Now I have 2. $2. Next, a double Bruce Cockburn live album, and it is called Circles in the Stream from 1977. I'm a huge Bruce Cockburn fan, but I really admire him. I think he's a really good guitarist. He doesn't get enough credit for his guitar playing, but he obviously puts together a very, very fine band when he tours. He's got lots of material to draw back on. And this is from the beginning of his career to 1977. Bruce Cockburn. And this is for Steve Carlson. not for Steve Carlson, it's for me. But I thought of Steve Carlson when I saw this. This is Grace Jones. I don't have any Grace Jones albums. And this is called, I can't read that. It's called Warm Leatherette. My first Grace Jones album, produced by Chris Blackwell. So I haven't listened to it, and like I said, I'm going to enjoy listening to that one. Next, this woman had a friend who volunteered at the Vancouver Folk Festival every year. So there's a lot of traditional music, there's a lot of world music, there was a lot of folk music, obviously. And her friend used to get the pick of the albums as the bands would filter through the festival. So here's one I've never heard of. This is from South Africa. And these are the Boyoyo Boys. And the album's called Back in Town. And these guys recorded in the late 60s and the early 70s. They climbed their way to the top of the African Township Jive charts. Very, very popular band in South Africa, apparently. Don't know anything about them, but very intriguing. Next up, run-of-the-mill George Benson album on Warner Brothers. This is Breezin'. Made a ton of money off this one. Very smooth, maybe too smooth jazz for a lot of people, but I think he's a very, very fine guitarist, and I like him. Next, I don't have this in my collection, and this is the Double White album by the Beatles. It is not numbered. It doesn't have the poster. It doesn't have the pictures, but the cover is very, very beat up and worn, but the records were in really great shape, and I don't have a copy of this record for some reason. I mean, I had lots of friends who had it, so I never really felt the need to go out and get my own copy, but glad I have this. That'll be a placeholder till I find a better copy. Next up, David Bowie's Changes One, best of. I don't have this. I'm not I don't collect. I've got a lot of David Bowie records. I don't really need this one record, but I wasn't going to leave it behind for $2. I'll give it away or something like that. Next up, my first Blondie record, Parallel Lines. Again, this is in all these records, by the way, are 75% of them were VG plus, VG plus plus, or near mint, and the 25% of them, they are playable, but the condition is less than ideal. But Blondie Parallel Lines, this is a mint condition. I'm not the biggest Blondie fan, to tell you the truth, and that's why I don't have any of the records, but I got one now. And I know there's lots of hits on here, one way or another. Everybody knows this record. I don't have to go on about that. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I didn't have this record in my collection either, but I do now. And this is a Canadian pressing. Most of these are Canadian pressings, by the way. There's the Boys right there. Their first record from I am guessing I'm saying 1970, I think. 1970, remember 1971? Bob Dylan's Hard Rain's the live album. I didn't have this in my collection either. Mick Ronson is on guitar. T-Bone Burnett is on guitar. Bass, Rob Stoner. Scarlett Rivera is playing strings on this, and not very much information produced. I didn't research where the concerts come from, but another Bob Dylan live album. Always happy to have one of those. 2 Alan Stivell records in mint condition. These, you can find these anywhere, actually, but traditional Celtic music, I think, or French. I think these are all the writing on here is French, and it was released by Polydor. They're Canadian pressings. Polydor is in Montreal, so everything is in French. I should have done a little bit more research, but traditional harp music, $2 each. Guilty Pleasure, Donna Summers. We got a 1976 album, and it is called 4 Seasons of Love. I've really picked up on Donna Summer in the last couple of years. Remarkable singer, great producer. This one was not I don't think this was produced by Marauder. He did all the arrangements on here, but he hadn't started producing her yet. Here you go, Mr. Steve, All the World's a Stage. You'll be happy to see this one. I've already got a copy. Blue Oyster Cult's first record, classic record. Again, I've got a nice copy of it, but now I guess I've got two nice copies of it, so I'll make a nice gift. Next up, a double. It's Ella and Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald. This is I think 2 albums put together, reissued. It's on the Blackbird. It's not a gatefold, so that's a bummer. But the record's in really good shape. Cover's in really good shape. Two great singers, two great jazz artists. Next up, Johnny Cleggs and Savuka. Johnny Cleggs is from South Africa. This was his backing band from South Africa as well. Johnny Cleggs went on to form a band that you might be familiar with in the 80s called Jaluka. And I did get a Jaluka album in this batch. I'm just not going to show it today. But this is on Capitol Records, 1987. Happy to get more African music in my collection for sure. Next up, Sade, her album Promise. I've got a copy of this as well, but I wasn't going to leave it behind for $2. Make a great gift. This is a great record. She's a great singer. Enough said about Sade. And copy of Buckingham Nicks. This is on Quality Records in Canada. It's a gatefold. I don't know if this is not a first press. It says it's a collector's item. It contains the original version of Crystal. Like I said, I've already got a copy of this, but happy to have a second copy and make a nice gift or whatever. Next up, Bobby McFerrin. Bobby McFerrin is, I guess, a jazz singer. I know the name. He sings solo without any instrumentation, so it's a little bit different for sure. This is on Electra Musicians series. They do jazz vocalists on this series. That's from the 80s. So the album is called The Voice. I think it might be his 77, probably his second or third record. And last but not least, I was amazed when I found this record. Absolutely amazed. Mint copy of Tracy Chapman's first record. I've been looking for this record for about 5 or 6 years. I find really beat up copies. I don't find them in mint condition with both the album and the cover in mint condition. They go for between $50 and $100 on Discogs. I don't care about that. I don't pay any attention to that really, but it's nice to know that you've got an album that's worth some money. OG. So there you have it. That's the first installment of my Cheapies. I've still got enough for 4 or 5 shows. So thanks for watching. I am gonna sign off now because we're over 13 minutes and I don't want to bore you. Cheers. See you next time.